Thoughts. My name is Lindsay Giese, and I'm the Executive Director for River Arts, Inc. And today I am joined by John Lehan with the Sauk Prairie School District.
Hey,
Cheers.
nice mug.
Twinsies.
All right. I love it. It's my favorite mug.
It's my favorite mug, too. And everything stays warm for hours and hours.
I took the lid off because sometimes it gets a little too hot, and I want to drink it now and not have to wait as long. So it's good.
And other little fact about the lid is that sucker is on tight. Like there will be no spilling happening.
Never. It doesn't happen. It's on tight and it holds a good amount of coffee. And obviously it has their tagline for the love of coffee. So it's
Love
a good
it.
mug.
So we're starting this interview out right. John, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
I would love people just to get to know a little more about you. So can you give a little summary of your background, your history?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in Racine, Wisconsin. I think that's where the love of sports and recreation, I think, first started for me. Went to college at UW La Crosse, majored in recreation management and minored in public administration. That was graduated there in 2010 and then transitioned over to the city of Monroe for a couple of years from 2010 to 2012, and then moved to the Sauk Prairie area to become the recreation director in 2012. And now we're on 2020, so going on kind of my 9th year, I guess we'll say, for following a school year of being here. You know, where time certainly does fly. My mom is a nurse, or was a nurse, and managed a digestive clinic. And I was going to be nuclear med tech and in medicine, and I considered myself wanting to be certainly involved in that. But I had a good advisor that pointed me in the right direction after chemistry didn't go so well. And I think my passion for sports, I never knew recreation management really existed, right? We all have been part of sports programs and been part of all sorts of activities. And certainly someone had to organize it and had to coordinate it. And now I find myself being that person, and I'm very grateful to have kind of found that path that kind of suited my strong interest in a multitude of different activities in sports. And again, just thankful for a brand new hospital that was built. My wife is a PA at the hospital here in the ER. And so that was 3 days after I was hired here and moved here. She was fortunate enough to get a job and work there. And then we have a 5-year-old daughter, Aislinn, who is on her hybrid and virtual learning journey with the school district and makes every day incredible.
So you are very much working, like the degree that you got matches the job that you have today, which surprisingly in my interviews, that is usually not the case.
Yeah.
Most people have like these, what I feel like are random degrees, and like their life has taken a turn. And it's not that they're useless degrees, because you learn something, whatever, like just the college experience, but your degree matches your job perfectly.
Spot on.
You participated in both of the Sauk Prairie lip syncs, and really blew me away. I didn't know you had acting skills like that. So do you have any other like hidden talents?
Yeah, acting, maybe not one of them. I love, as you know, with a multitude of groups that we talk to, speaking publicly and talking and mixing and having good conversation and acting and having fun with it and having a carefree personality is just, is part of it. Hidden talents, I played percussion in the drum set quite a bit from middle school on, was in jazz band in high school. I had a drum set that I actually, Alan Wildman's son has picked up drums. So I passed that on and certain materials from that, within that, but always have enjoyed drumming and beats in that piece to kind of go through that. And we just acquired a piano from someone a few months ago. So I'm really trying to obviously sit down with AZ and learn piano. Lisa had played some piano. It's kind of our new family thing. We're going to try to learn piano a little more. I have Baby Shark down, and those who are maybe in my circle that I send videos to, I've done a lot of different themed funny ones. It's spot on, maybe a little more comical for some, but Baby Shark is my go-to.
So your counselor, you said, kind of pushed you or
advisor.
Yeah, he guided you in the direction to go into your career. Was that because you were very involved in sports?
Yeah, so I was very involved just in growing up. My dad was my coach in baseball, and a multitude of things, but I grew up, football, baseball, kickball, really any sport. I was kind of that, tried to be involved in as many things as possible within our local rec department in Racine, Wisconsin. My parents were fortunate to put me in a lot of those pieces and an after school club where you had a lot of those different games. Bowling is my biggest one. Those will probably, bowling is probably my most favorite sport. I have bowled and picked up that since I was a little kid and could pick it up and toss it. My grandpa helped manage a bowling alley in Rock Island, Illinois. So it's been in the family for years. And one of the things that I still get to bowl with my dad, who lives here locally, along with my mom. And that's been really a joy to do that too. But yeah, sports have just always been a passion of it. But to me, it's not just sports, it's like activity and coming together, and you think about special events, and whether it's the summer solstice festival or just certain things that bring us together, was a good value that my parents taught me, just an activity and doing that. And growing up going camping, we had a camper that was about 4 hours away from Racine, Wisconsin, in the western part of Illinois, and we did that every weekend, and camping. And at that campground was a pond to swim in, was a track to be able to bike around, was basketball courts, was a playground, was this large shelter. I partially attribute my passion to parks to that campground, and to that experience and where that comes from. And just knowing that. And that was a family time where my grandma had a camper there and we went there all the time, but my friends would come and we'd gather and they had sporting activities and options there. And so that was rooted in me, to kind of where I am today. That's kind of a good basis of kind of where it might have all started.
So I think we're very similar. I mean, we obviously work for very different organizations, but a lot of our goals are the same, and it is about
Yeah.
gathering people and connecting. We do it more through the arts, you do it more through athletics, but and other things. But how is that going right now? What are you still able to do? How are you personally doing with that?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. I am surrounded at the community center, by an incredible team. And we have took on the challenge. Obviously, COVID presented us a chance to pause and reflect and understand how might activities look different and how can we move forward. But we've done really well. We were able to open the outdoor pool this summer. We were able to continue doing after school club programming, just smaller ratios, in individual classrooms. We did painting classes. We did t-ball. We've worked with our local sports groups to understand how does fall look for sporting events. And so we've modified. I think the biggest challenge has been we've always thought about looking 6 to 7, 8 months in advance. You are the same way. We always talk about calendars a lot, and we think so far in advance. And now we're thinking a month ahead and a
yes,
month in advance. That's really tough.
it's
That is
crazy.
it. Like I just my brain is not wired that way. I love to plan into the future and do that, but we have really thought about just some different ideas and understand things are going to look different. And the Boo Sock Prairie is a new event. You might have seen that around town where they're basically dropping, you can pick up bags at the community center and drop them off in kind of a safe way to almost boo ding dong ditch your friends, but leave a good bag of goodies and treats. So in a positive way, it's really forced us to be really creative and think and stop and be different. And to me, I view that as that's okay. And to really understand kind of what's going to be different. Certainly as we head into the winter, again, we're taking it month by month, and we've got a list of activities that we think we can accomplish or do new. And our team will weather the storm. And again, I'm surrounded by an incredible team that throws different ideas together. We basically take an event and we just want to go through it. And so, but again, we're continuing activities in a safe way. And we can honestly say that this past summer, we did it safely.
Yeah.
And our community was thankful for that and appreciative of that. And there were a lot of great things that we want to continue to do this fall and winter. And we'll continue to offer that. We just won't have a big brochure to catalog it, and show that. We need them to follow the newsletter because it's going to change rapidly.
Yep, we had a digital brochure, and I'm so glad we didn't print it because it's so different. And the same thing where someone will say, like, is this event that you had scheduled before COVID started? That's 2 months out. Are you going to have that? And I'm like, well, that's 2 months away. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. That's so far away.
Yeah, and there's people wondering like, are we going to have this tournament, on this given weekend? We've had it that way for years, or we've had this event here for years. Health Trip, our program always in January, has always been a really big program for us through the community center, and we're just, what can we do, and how can that look different in a different fashion? So it is forced our brains to think to the edges, to really try to come up with some creative activities. But our team, as your team too, we're all up for the task. We're in this together,
Yep.
and our creative minds are ready to go.
Well, and I think that's important. I have this doesn't come up too often because I think most people get it, but every once in a while I've had people say, "Well, like, why don't you just shut down? Like, don't do any
Mhm.
programs or not." And it's like, well, that's not really an option because people still need these services. We just have to figure out how to do it safely. And so I appreciate the efforts that you all are making there, and we're going to keep trying to do it. And
Yep.
probably you feel the same way, but we are having less traditional events, but I feel like I'm busier and working harder than ever
Mhm.
before because we are having to think in a different way and spend so much more time planning to do something safely than to do it the way
Mhm.
we've always done it. So
Yeah, and I just think we owe it to our community, because this is there. We're talking about mental health and physical health and coming together, and we need connection. And you and I talk a lot about that in our programs of coming together to connect with people. We need that more than ever, and it's up to us to brainstorm and figure out what is the best way to do that. And what we found is those activities that we've run, and we've talked to the folks afterwards and our community members afterwards, they are so thankful of that program they got to be in that camp they got to participate in so many avenues, and they're just so excited to be part of it. And that's what drives us. As we said, there is a hunger there for us to do activities, do it safely, but also make sure that we continue to have offerings consistently throughout these several months, heading into the winter, and even thinking ahead to next spring and summer and how that might look, and put together a game plan, and we may adjust it. But the community has been so supportive, continuing to support our programs and all of our programs around this community. But also, they are very thankful for what we've done, and we're really thankful that we never had to close, other than for a few weeks there to just pause and reflect and dissect kind of where we're going. But now we're open and up and running.
yeah, that's great. I know pickleball was very popular, on the rise, big sport there at the rec center.
Yep.
Um, is that still happening right now? And if not, what is the biggest, like the most popular activity?
Yeah. Pickleball, we are just bringing it back next week. It's kind of biggest difference is going to be register before you come. So instead of just a free for all to come and pop in the door, we need to know how many people are coming. We can only have a certain amount of people. So it's like a pre registration process. But we are bringing it back. But all summer they've been playing. They've been out at JC Park, and it's been great to drive by there. They played outside for the entire summer. As we transition now at this colder weather, we've been researching and brainstorming the best way to bring them back. So we're going to kind of have a pre-registration process. Certainly, the gym is available to rent. So we want to rent that to those folks that want to be able to rent the gym and have pickleball. Maybe they want to do Saturday afternoon because they don't want to do the Saturday night pre-registration. So we're excited to bring them back because we had a list of almost 200 folks. We were playing every day but Tuesday, and even Tuesdays that Mueller or other folks rented the gym. Mueller played Tools of Marketing sometimes, or Culver challenged them. So I think there's so many opportunities there, that we want to be able to do. It'll just look different, but we're excited to bring pickleball back. And the biggest thing as far as activity wise right now, we've continued to offer swim lessons. We're looking at aqua Zumba. We continue to have after school club. There isn't any one program that is standing out strong, in that avenue. We just have a good even keel of programming opportunities. But the Boosauk Prairie, we've already had over 75 plus bags sold.
Great.
And we're continuing to push that one because we feel that's just a really fun, different event that we can get the community together. I know I have 6 boo bags sitting upstairs here, and AZ and I will go out tonight and spread the love and pass that around to a bunch of our different friends and kind of create that spider web of that activity here this month.
That's awesome. And I know so the boot kits are great. You had like a princess kit that you did. I don't know if you're still doing that. Scavenger hunts. So just some like really fun things. And I like that like the offerings are meeting because everybody has different comfort levels. And so you've got these activities that for people who are being, very, very safe, like having little interaction with others, like there's things that they can still do, and then to the people who are a little more comfortable masked doing certain things, still distance and stuff. Like there's that range of.
There's that combination, and the kits we found and the scavenger hunts are popular. And again, I go back to what we mentioned as far as the connection of just, that's things you can do as a family together, and you can do that on the weekends or at night, and do it at your own pace. We all know with virtual learning with some of these kids, right? They're already going through that process during the week with their teachers and their school. So this is a time where, as parents, we can do that whenever it works within our schedule. So those have been really popular. We're really looking forward to putting together some new kits, and we'll have that good balance and understanding, because we understand there's comfort levels, kind of where folks are at. But even those in activities that are in person and masked, our goal is 10 or less. We're just continuing to have that. Most of them are parent taught, so we're spread out, and able to have the parent work with their child for their instruction, whether that's basketball or whether that's a camp or a craft or anything like that. So really just trying, it looks different, but thankful the community has embraced it and continuing to come up with something different, and look forward to anything we can partner on, because we're all in this together.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll come up with something. Get ready.
Mhm.
Um, I should have talked about this at the beginning, but I think that there is confusion about like your role. Are you with the village? Are you with the school district? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think, so I mentioned when I started, I was the recreation director. So that would have been the village only, and that was in 2012. And then sorry, that was in 2012. And then in 2015, Marianne Marks had transitioned from community education into retirement. And that was when the opportunity that the district had we had a conversation with them about kind of pushing together the director position to kind of manage both departments, the recreation division and the community ed division. So in 2015 is kind of when that all came together. So my title is Community Education and Recreation Director. So I oversee two different budgets, two different departments. The recreation department is municipal. So that's funded by 6 municipalities locally here. That when I think recreation, right, I think more of our sports, our youth sports. There is kind of some crossover with those princess kits, superhero kits, those things, and other activity and programs that we do. And then the community education side of things, which is the school district portion, that's the pools, the indoor and the outdoor pool, after school club programming, senior programming, and community education, such as like arts or guitar or financial literacy, more adult-based classes in those fashion, and some youth certainly. But I think there's like that community education enrichment opportunity within that position there. So technically, I am paid by the Rec Commission, and I am a village employee per se. But we have a contract with the district to manage those services. Thankful to be a part of that team. Thankful to obviously be surrounded by an incredible team in all avenues, whether it's aquatics or after school club or programming and planning and sports and organization and marketing. They're incredible, from the team that I'm surrounded by. But again, that is something that often gets misconstrued, similar to your talk with RAC, you and Nick Dingman, and how that works with your chat just last week or a few weeks ago. And so there is that dissection, but there is the goal with that was to have someone who could oversee both departments, oversee both budgets, and have our missions are so similar.
Yeah.
And maybe there'll be a time when it all comes together. Now may not be that time. In other communities, most likely they would be all together. And maybe we'll cross that bridge at a certain point. But this was our way to kind of halfway get across that bridge. Yeah. And kind of have that togethership, because there's so many things that are aligned and so many things to not dual function or dual manage, some of those pieces. And that allows me to manage 2 different budgets, right? Can have its challenges, but they're so aligned and so similar. Once you get into that rhythm, the first couple of years were a learning curve, just trying to understand the timeline of pieces. But it's all come together. Very thankful for it. And again, we're already 5 years along in that journey throughout that process. And it's allowed me now to also be involved more with the schools, which all of the recreation side of pieces use school facilities and use the gyms and use the field spaces. It's allowed me to learn more about our school district and be involved on the district leadership team. Yep. Learn more about school curriculum, learn more about the inner workings of our buildings and our maintenance departments. There's so many pieces that I feel it creates a lot of value. And when I talk to my counterparts around the state, I think there's some jealousy there. because now I'm connected with the district and I'm connected on both ends, where typically those entities do not get along
Yeah.
in other communities.
Or
And
that's another step to, it's just not as efficient, I think.
yeah, yeah. And I think so now when we have that seamless transition, that has worked. And then transitioning into the referendum project and to be able to be involved on that team, from an athletic standpoint, planning from Heather Breinig and our aquatics team in our office working on our pools and facilities. I'm just thankful to be a part of that journey because it's allowed us to use all this information from this side and this side, put it together, put that data together, and they just mirror and their missions align beautifully. So, and again, throughout the referendum process, another part of my job, right from the recreation side of things, was park planning
Mhm.
and working with the villages on looking at our parks. And part of that was the Conference of Outdoor Rec Plan that we did in 2015 that looked at all of our parks. And part of the Rec Commission, which is one of my boards. So there's a Rec Commission above my Rec department, and there's the school board above Community Ed. So I have two boards that essentially help manage that. But on the Recreation Commission side of things, we worked with the villages to do that park study. And that led us kind of to partner with the municipalities on how can we improve our parks, because our sports group use these parks, our programs use these parks, our community members use these parks. What can we do to better align this and bring the villages together to make sure that planning and coordination is happening for those pieces? Again, minimal duplication of services and planning and doing that together. And out of that study, pinpointed the 42 acres short of parkland needed, which is now highlighting Culver Community Park and where we're at today. And so I think that's a really good journey, but our partnership with the villages and the school board and the school district and the community members, all under one roof at the community center, is very unique, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
You are a great guest because you just like in one um, conversation, like I was going to ask about the referendum, the park study, and Culver Park, all as separate questions, and
Okay,
you were able to cover it all.
sounds good. Maybe I talk too much. I don't know. So.
No, it's great. I was going to ask, yeah, where is that park study at? We're 5 years from that initial study. Is Culver Park fully going to, like, will we be meeting the needs of our community when Culver Park is completed, or are we still going to be having shortfalls, or are we exceeding it in an awesome way and thinking forward to the future?
Yeah, it's the referendum and Culver Community Park are a partnership. And I think Culver Community Park will help satisfy our 42 acres of park shortage. But also, when the referendum process happened, we lost some softball fields and some baseball diamonds, and we're gaining those back in Culver Park. So, in that process, we knew in shifting the stadium, it was going to knock out these fields, but we knew at the same time we were going to gain those back in this park. Again, the conversations together wouldn't happen if we weren't all in the same room talking about those pieces. So that was really great. Yes, Culver Community Park will help satisfy not just the park need, but also that study pinpointed, the need for more ADA accessible trails within our park system, the needs for more playgrounds, the needs for more different recreational amenities, the skate park, the sledding hill, the dog park, the pickleball courts. Certainly, we just talked about that. That's a huge growing sport. There's all those pieces. So it'll help fill the niche of what the referendum and what the district may have lost in shifting the stadium. We'll gain it back there, but we're also going to gain a lot of the amenities that a community our size is lacking. And so we're able to gain that back in that fashion, which I think is a really unique opportunity. And we're fortunate enough to break ground this past weekend. We broke ground on the property, had our donors out there. It was a really incredible experience. And fencing is going up this week, and mobilization and earthwork and grading out at Culver Community Park will happen over this fall in utilities. And by next spring, we'll be seeding the property and beginning more of that amenity development. It won't open until 2023. I think that's one of the biggest questions asked. When will it open? It'll be over phases. But I ask people to be patient with it and grow in this journey with us, because once it is open, it'll be open for everyone. And we're really excited about that. It'll just take some time to turn that link landscape into the beautiful picture and landscape that it's going to transform into.
Is the project ahead of schedule, right on schedule? Where
Yeah, great question. We are on schedule. We are very thankful, and I can't say this enough, to all of our donors, all of our volunteers, all the people who have supported the Friends of Sauk Prairie Parks and Recreation and the Culver Community Park Project, specifically the Culver family, which I know with you at River Arts and everywhere in town, they're so
Amazing.
incredible. We
Yeah.
could talk an entire segment on them, but many donors supported it. So we are at just over $9 million committed and pledged to the project through fundraising and through grants, and absolutely incredible. And that's in a year and a half. And our goal is 12 million. So we know there are things, we have enough money now to make sure we get the grading and infrastructure in that timeline. We're still fundraising, still going through that process. But if there's a certain amenity that's not sponsored for, think of it as a master plan that this said area wouldn't get developed because we didn't have funding for it. But in 5 years, in 4 years, in 3 years, whenever it may be, once money comes available for that or a sponsor comes forward, we will build that piece because that park is a master plan of what all of our studies have said, what all of our usage data has said. So it's all coming together. It's been an incredible week to see that come together, to see also within our referendum process with those fields begin to shift over there and begin to work through that process. So it's an incredible journey we're on.
Well, thank you so much for your work on all of these projects. And I know you've said it several times, like it's all in the team that you're surrounded by. And yeah, Marietta has done so much work for the Culver Park specifically, but in the community in general. But thank you for that. I'm from Sauk Prairie, and I look and see where just in the last few years where we have come with the Great Sauk State Trail and the splash pad, and then now looking forward with the referendum in Culver Park. And I feel like it's just limitless. Like we're in such a great place, and we are lucky to have community members like yourself moving us forward. And it's really exciting.
Yeah, and I just think, I mean, again, I'm thankful, blessed, and so many words of where this community is going. Again, thankful I put my roots here and be able to do that. But you look at the trail and you look at the parks, and a lot of people would say, well, wow, that's a lot of recreational amenities. But also look at our businesses that are thriving, and new businesses that have come into town, and different events we have brought in, in different pieces, and all of that coming together is really unique to see and really awesome to be a part of. And at least in my counterparts of my world and where we're at, there are people know that Sauk Prairie, there are a lot of people that are envious of us and where we're going and what we're doing, but how we're doing it together. And I think that's the one beauty in Sauk Prairie. And Cliff Thompson, right, was a lot of reason for a lot of just right when he has these we're all in this together. We're all doing this. We're having the conversations before we do this big project. We don't just jump into something and bulldoze our way through it. We really, the community, and not being from here, I am so impressed with how we all work together.
Mm-hmm.
So many different fashions for projects,
Yeah.
for large projects and for little projects. It's just, there's so many people involved, and there's such an understanding when we go through a project like that with our community leaders and community members, and having everyone has a voice. I think that is the one thing I've learned from Sauk Prairie is everyone has a voice and an opportunity to share their mind on a lot of these projects. And that's why I think a lot of times at the end result of these pieces, we're all very satisfied with what comes out of those. And it's incredible. I'm here at the right time, and just lucky to be here in this 8-year journey and beyond, because ever since I've gotten here, these conversations and projects have gotten deeper and stronger. And it's a perfect timing on my end and my family's end, and just more than thankful.
Yeah, and when you touched on that good point, I think people who are not in the fundraising world in the community, you see a lot of incredible things happening, and a lot of people, just extremely generous people, just continuing to give to the community. But even the planning of fundraisers and opportunities that we all work together on. And so we had like when the hospital went in, that was a huge project for our community.
Yeah.
And then now we have Culver Park and the trail, and like everything is it's all well thought out, and it's not one group of people pushing a certain agenda. It's looking at the whole community and where things are at, and just being very intentional. And
yes, that's
cool.
Very well said, and that doesn't happen all the time. So it's really nice to see that we're all talking together ahead of these projects, because when they're all done, we're all going to work together and continue to work together. And what is our next thing? I'm sure whatever that is, we'll find out. We may be in that same room to talk about what is the next big thing. And certainly throughout the referendum process, our team is really excited, obviously, about the Black Box Edition. And, I'm excited about what is that going to bring to our dynamic of arts in your programming, and you and Nick and everyone. It's so exciting. Even the community education team is like, what can we do in there? There's pieces during the school day or other avenues. So it's so exciting, because when we think of a space like that,
or like there are a lot of athletic events that already happen in the River Art Center, and so I love that combination where it's not just sports or just the arts, or we all are working together.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel so happy after this chat. I hope people watching are just getting that boost of how great Sauk Prairie is. I have other silly questions for you, but I don't want to ruin this moment by asking any.
Yeah. No.
So thank you, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
And hope to talk to you soon and continue to learn more about all these cool projects. Where should people go if they we mentioned so many things today, like some of your activities at the rec center, but then also Culver Park, and where should people go to find out this information?
Yeah, certainly. At the community center, please check out, we're just at saukprairieschools.org/community. Naturally, you'll find everything for the recreation department, community education, and then spparksandrec.org is where you'll find all the information for Culver Community Park. But certainly don't hesitate to reach out to the community center, ask for one of our teammates, ask for myself. Glad to share, research, plan with anybody who wants to come up and ask questions about all the different opportunities that we have going on.
Awesome. Well, great. Go get your next cup of John Joseph coffee, and talk to you soon. Thanks, John.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too.